Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hi, it's Dr. Gemma, and I'm sort of scared to say this, but as you listen to this, you are probably less than 2 weeks away from CFR 2023. Oh my God. And so things have gotten hectic around here. And by the way, welcome to episode 153 of the Cognitive Podcast. I think pretty appropriately titled Running on Fumes. So much is going on around here. I am just dizzy. Because of course, in the real world, things like open enrollment are happening, with insurance, and I'm trying to do all that. And the property tax has landed, and I'm trying to do that. And the beloved is getting all this dental work, so we're just all pacing along with that and working it out with the insurance. And oh my gosh, it was fall planting time here on the farm, and we're trying to do that. You will see a picture of my gorgeous son and I smirking at you from behind the newly planted rosemary shrubbery, which I am so happy we have. It was the perfect thing. If I could find 10 more that size, I would buy them and plant them. If I could find them for $15 each, like the original, I'd be over the moon. I wish I'd taken a card from that person who grew her, because I would just go back and say, give me everything you have as soon as I get a paycheck. Having said all that, welcome to episode 153. I do welcome your comments. You can comment on the blog at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com, or you can go to our group on Ravelry. And I just want to thank the people who have been commenting there. I'm sort of dizzy and tired, so I don't have a lot to say about that. But in the warm thanks department, it is all you people who are commenting and are following the podcast. That makes me feel wonderful. And it is everybody who's supporting CFR 2023. You know who you are. Not all of you are coming, but you still have been wildly supportive. Beautiful Christina. Please remember the hashtag for CFR 2023 is hashtag CFR23. There are other people using that tag. Well, it was original when I came up with it. I also want to thank our own dear Danny M. I'm just going to say this to you, my dear, up in Washington State. Oh, Lord, I wish it was this week, too. Suddenly, I'm kind of on fire for this. That would be because I'm sitting in a room, and about a quarter of the room is filled with stuff for the goodie bags and other things I want to take with me for CFR 23. I do have to go find the important things like name tags and whatnot. And probably I need to look for a big easel that I can put messages on. I do believe Loretta used to have that, but I'm not sure if we still have one. I should actually message her. At any rate, I got to do the little shopping now, to make sure we have the little things. I also want to thank all the vendors who have come through for us, and that is the eBay vendors and the vendors who will be attending. I'm so grateful to our vendors. This week, the goodie bags arrived, and the actual bags or putting things in. And I actually had to ask myself, dear Lord, are these things too small for everything we have? I cannot tell you how terrifyingly wonderful that feeling is. But I have so much stuff from vendors here. I also want to enlist the usual suspects. I do believe what I'm going to do. I have a big Tupperware tub. Oh, sure I do. And I've got like 4 cartons of stuff that has to go with me. And I do believe that I'm going to do the goodie bag stuff in my hotel room Friday night. So I am going to try after dinner, I think, to enlist some people to help me do the goodie bags. They're sensational. And we have, oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. Betty Joe came through for us. You can find her in the vendors. She does laser cut stuff for Stitchers, Betty Jo's Corner. That stuff arrived in a very, anonymous little white envelope. Oh my gosh, what she sent. Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous because I usually take myself out of the raffle. I don't know if I'm going to this year. It depends on how many prizes we have. But oh no, I don't. Yeah, I remember Nathan one year rigging the raffle, so I got something I wanted. Bless his crazy little heart. But anyway, you just can't believe we have the coolest stuff. We have the coolest stuff. I think as far as I can tell, only one of the eBay vendors listed did not come through. And I'm not going to say that for sure until we get to the actual fiber retreat and I see what's in the mail. But it's been so exciting. I can't wait to see Laser Sheep and Oink and Tina and, oh my God, please don't let me forget somebody, Alpenglow and Lisa Souza and Rod Souza. I can't wait. Lisa and Rod have been cruising around Italy and the Mediterranean, and I just want to die of jealousy. I can't wait. As you can probably tell, I'm kind of tired right now. I am indeed running on fumes because just so many things are happening, but I am loving it. It's all good right now. It's one of those wonderful moments in your life where you just go, everything is good. Even the job is running well. I'm doing the blather, aren't I? Yeah, let's get on to it. CFR. Oh, and we got a new sign up for the Cognitive Fiber Retreat. Welcome, Sue Ellen, alias Knitnut, coming up from, I think, Reseda. So yeah, we now have 44 people. I am delighted about that. If you need the information, there is a link to it. It says in caps, all info is right here, and here is the link. That is the info thread. If you go over to the Cognitive Podcast group on Ravelry, you can find the info thread right there. But there's a link to it from the show notes on Blogspot. But it's very exciting. Saturday, November 11th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the event room. Now, what does this mean? It means real time. I'm going to come Friday, November 10th, over to the Marriott, the Courtyard. It's actually called by Marriott. I'm going to be over there on Friday night. I'm just going to check in, see if everybody at the hotel knows we're there and what we're doing. Scream with joy, hug people in the hallways, get my room, see if they upgraded me to a suite, which would be super if they did. They owe me an upgrade, but I don't know if there are actually suites in this hotel. But if they upgraded me to a suite, the beautiful thing is that's going to give us a classroom right there. So we'll see. I didn't pay for the upgrade. I have room credits with Marriott, so we'll see if that was good enough to get me a suite. I sure hope it is, because that'll give us classrooms, but I'm so excited, I'm choking. Okay, let's stop. We will be in the event room. As you go in the lobby, on the right, you have the event room. On the left, you have the desk and the elevators. The event room connects directly to the pool area. Those of you who've been to a CFR know why I'm telling you this, because that's probably where we're going to end up doing the meeting. The event room we have from 9 to 5, and they seem to really care about the hours. This isn't going to be like the good old days at the La Quinta, where they just opened it and ignored anything we did. I don't think we're going to get that. We have to build credit with this hotel, is what I'm telling you. At the La Quinta, which is now sold to another group, I think it's a Wyndham now. No matter where we do this, you have to build the credit with the host. And we don't have that. And so right now, I don't think I'm looking for any extras from them. The other weird thing is, in the good old days at the La Quinta, the manager was right there. I told him what I wanted, and we got it. And he was so grateful. We were selling like 60 rooms every year for his hotel in the middle of nowhere. Also, Tehachapi, where it used to be held, is a prison town. So if he didn't get us in the hotel, he was going to get inmates' families, and some of them were not very nice, as I think we found out the last year we were there. So, we got a lot of credit there because they really wanted us to fill that hotel. This hotel, it's in the middle of an industrial business park. It's got another big hotel right next to it, and they don't seem to have many events on the weekends, so they're a really good target for this event. The other hotel was trying to really, it was really Embassy Suites. They just were railroading me. They told me one thing and then they sent me estimates for totally different stuff. I was done with them after that. But the Courtyard by Marriott has treated me really well. I told them I'm a gold member. They were like, oh my gosh, we're going to treat you so nicely. Hope they give me the suite. So the Valencia room, which is what we will be in, it is 20 by 30 feet by 9 feet high. So we got 600 square feet, and you can multiply that by 9 if you need cubic feet. I'm not that kind of nerd right now. Did I mention I'm really tired? Yeah, okay. But that's what you need to know. And again, any more information should be on the Ravelry thread, the information thread. The vendors, of course, I've already mentioned: Lisa Souza, Oink Pigments, Tina's Soaps, Laser Sheep, Alpenglow, in no particular order. If you go to the notes, you will see a picture of me simply hysterical with joy. I look about as Italian as I think I've ever looked in my life in that picture. I look just like my grandmother. It's kind of shocking, because normally I wouldn't say I do. What's even scary is I'm even the age she was when I knew her. Okay, haven't gotten over that. You can also see I'm hysterical because I'm holding up the bag for the goodie bags. This is not as good a bag as I wanted. And now I'll learn from this for next year. I did not quite understand the description of the bag. However, it's good enough. And you will notice a familiar black figure on the bag in black fur, to be more specific, because that could have sounded totally wrong. And anyway, you will see the CFR 23 logo is, of course, our own mascot, Minerva, famous for getting the last word. And that was one of those moments when I got Cutiful Christina's yarn 2 weeks ago, and then this when I got the bags. These are the 2 times I have sat down and cried with joy. So back in the warm thanks department, I can't believe I've lived to say this. When I started this up again, I thought I must be out of my mind. This is the most terrifying thing I do in my life, because you're always kind of hoping you don't know everybody's going to behave, and of course they do. Well, we had a couple interesting incidents, but nothing too dangerous. Okay, but I cannot believe I can say this, that there are times with CFR I have literally cried with joy. And this year it was the generosity of all the people, which I think in my head is represented by the insanely beautiful donation of Cutiful yarns from Australia, and by these bags. I cannot explain why. I always liked our old logo with the head, with all the parts labeled about yarn and stuff. I don't know. I just feel like I'm older and wiser, and I want my cat on the darn bag. So I was so happy I cried. And I got those this week, and boy, am I happy. There is, of course, the picture I am still carrying of the beautiful Mermaid's bag and the sea glass colorway. Oh, Laura, I can't wait to get my hands on that yarn. I'm trying not to buy new yarn, but I want it. I want it. And I really wanted the bag, but I had to say this year, like, we're not bringing in more bags. I've got so many knitting bags right now, it's embarrassing. But I'm looking forward to Good Stuff's beautiful shawl pattern. I can't wait to see it. And I imagine I'll be casting that on at the event, but who knows? I've got about 30 things I want to cast on. Just reminders, the mini skein swap is on. Oh, you bet it is. After what Christina donated, you bet it is. And who was it who just said, Knit One Pug 2 sent me this picture of all her mini skeins ready to go. I am ashamed. She has them like skeined up and beautiful labels, and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm not worthy. I'm just bringing these ratty little balls of leftover sock yarn. So, however you do it, the mini skein swap is on. Knit One Pug 2, find me Friday night, dude. I'm so trading with you. Anyway, I'm trading with all of you. Don't be ridiculous. We're all going to have at least one, thanks to Cutiful Christina. The goodie bags, I can't say enough. And I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. And the pictures are in the show notes if you want to see them. And did I mention I'm so happy? We have, of course, the steeking class from Jasmine coming in at Sunday morning. That'll probably it's going to be 10 or 11. I need to kind of see how we go. I'm sorry to be a little vague. Probably it's going to be at 10. And the meditation class is going to be an hour later. And we're going to take a 2-hour lunch break. And then after that, we're going to do the skills tutoring groups, which is kind of breakout groups, whoever wants a skill. We have a lot of people with a lot of good skills. I have heard good rumors about Steffi Jo teaching sock skills. I never get to go to classes. I've tried. It never works because I'm too wound. We also have the yarn exchange and donation, that if you want to bring yarn you don't want. We're just going to do a freestyle swap. Any leftover yarn seems to be going home with Jasmine Knitmore for her kids' knitting group. Please also keep in mind, if you bring a completed mother bear, no exceptions. Don't say I'll put the face on it at CFR. Please don't do that. It has to be a completed mother bear. You get an extra raffle ticket. This is also important because we will have probably at most like 3-4 people coming through from the local Santa Clarita Valley knitter groups. I know these people, so we're not just letting the public in because we know that didn't work when we tried it before. But these are people I know. Because we only have the 44 instead of 50, I want to give a few people I know locally a chance to come in and shop. Okay, so you will meet some people who are from either Second Saturday Knitters or Yarnopoly, and they will also be there. They did not pay admission. They are not getting raffle tickets. I'm telling you this, if anybody's helping me on the day, you need to know this. But if they bring a completed mother bear, and at least one of them is, they get a raffle ticket. Okay, so that's the only way. If you're not one of the original 44, the only way you can get a raffle ticket is by bringing a completed bear for Mother Bear. Now, I was looking at the funds, and it looks like I have a nice amount to spend on the vendors. Not a huge amount, but a nice amount. Please remember, I don't have the overage I used to have because we had to pay, I think it's going to, the net price is $600, but I think by the time we're finished paying everything, it's like $700 for the Valencia room. We don't get that room free anymore. But we should have some money to spend on the vendors. So at this point, I don't see us sending a box of bears to Mother Bear. I really think we want to support the vendors. Okay, I'm willing to be talked to about that, but we'll see. On Friday night, if anybody wants to gather a cohort and sit down and talk to Dr. Gemma about that money, I'd be glad to hear it. In the meantime, I still have links to also the new post number 52 on the info thread that has mini skein patterns specifically for crochet. Why did I do that? Because those of you who get a little carried away at CFR, I would like to tell you, you could bring an E-hook. What would it be? About an E-hook, I think? Maybe an F-hook, depending on how you want to do it. But you could bring an E or an F-hook to CFR. And you could walk away with a cowl that you made out of mini skeins. I am just saying. What's on my hooks and needles? Well, hallelujah. I have finished the BB-8 socks in laser sheep yarn. And you can see my lousy tensioning. So those socks are just beautiful splotches. I have to say I'm in love with these guys. I expected the colors to be stronger, and I really like that they're not. They came out they're really just beautiful colors. I couldn't stop petting them and staring at them. I also like that Laser Sheep went a little light-handed on the orange, and I really like it. I love the effect. So please do not blame Laser Sheep. I have never managed to get the tension right because everybody else knits their socks on like size 0 needles. No, I use size 2s or size 3s, so ain't never going to get that tension right. But I just love this. And I am praying because Laser Sheep and Oink said they were willing to do show special colorways. So come on, girls, the time has come. The other thing was you can see a simply fabulous pair of socks underneath it. The original sock there is from, I think, the original Abstract Yarns up in Portland. They have since sold to someone else, to another dyer. But I believe that was one of my last skeins of the original Abstract, and I just love it so much. Those socks are paper thin. I've worn them so much. The heels finally gave out. So I just said, I am not giving these up. I don't care how thin they are. And this week, when I realized both socks at the same time lost their heels, got big holes in the heels, this is why I do heels in different colors on my socks, because I lose my socks at the heels more than any other way. So when that happens, because I have done it in a different color from the main sock, it's extremely easy for me to pick up with my needle the threads of the main color outside the contrast heel color. So I pick those up and then I cut out with my little scissors the heel color, and I just rip back until I get down to what was originally my Afterthought heel outline, and I put in a new Afterthought heel. So I very rarely use the same color for my heels also. I have tons of mini skeins around, leftovers from my socks. That's why I'm always making scrappy socks, the Halloween socks. I didn't make Halloween socks this year, but I thought it was very much in the spirit of things that I did make like 3 or 4 pairs of scrappy socks. You may remember earlier in the year, my Franken socks. So I didn't want to do more for Halloween, but this was my Halloween project, that I replaced that heel, so I now have a new Franken sock in the crowd. And I have to say, sure, I'm in the school of I wear through my socks and I usually toss them out because I have so many socks. In fact, I noticed I now have 100 completed pairs of socks on Ravelry. I noticed this week. But if you want to replace your heels, this is how you do it. You put an afterthought heel in, this is how I do it, on your original sock. And for me, I use a contrast color for the afterthought heel so I can see where it begins and ends. You don't see this in your shoes unless you're wearing backless shoes. But when your heels wear out, if you're me, they are really, really easy to replace with all your leftover sock yarn. And I do believe our own Steffi Jo is going to talk about this. I believe she was offering some sock repair and sock making classes. Steffi Jo, I'm not letting you off the hook. Can you tell that? Because you offered it, man, and I really want you in there because I know you're good at this stuff and a great teacher and all that. So if you want to know more about this, you could be at the CFR. We still got 6 places. Okay, in progress, the stash toss is at 15 skeins in versus 58 skeins out. And it hit me, good heavens, we are in the 10th month. Darn it, I'm not going to make it to 100 skeins out of the stash. I think I'm looking down at my Llama Love sweater, and that's going to be about 6 skeins. Ooh, the Superstition sweater, though, is looking to be about 9 skeins. Still not enough, but I'm hoping maybe we'll make 70 if I play it right. The really great experiment here is, first of all, I can see the difference, that I have really, really thinned the stash in a good way. I am not in danger of running out of stash, believe me. The other thing is it's made me more mindful. I mean, I got online when I was working on the Llama Love sweater, I was looking at how do I finish the sleeves and looking at all these pinks to see if I could match the foxglove. Because Lisa Souza's on a world cruise right now, so I'm not going to get her to do me more foxglove. And I don't think she even features the color any longer. I don't know. She would do it if I asked because she's Lisa. She can do anything. But I was thinking about that, and I realized I don't want to add more skeins in on the stash toss. And I thought, if I got nothing else this year out of that stash toss, I really got this kind of amazing mindfulness about how I buy yarn and how I use yarn. And it's really made me realize how many times can I say really in one sentence? It has made me realize just how much incredibly great yarn I have, including the scraps, including mini skeins. It's also made me wary. I don't think I'll ever buy like an advent calendar box again because it just results in too much extra stuff. I have plenty of stuff I can work on. Having said that, the Llama Love sweater, it's exciting. As you can see in that picture, I am working on the bottoms of the sleeves. I finally figured out how I want to do it, which is I decided just enhance the color work. I went to the Ravelry page for Megan Regan's fall collection that I bought last year, which is where the Superstition sweater comes from. And I looked at a lot of those. And I looked at, did anybody do additional sleeve color work? And I got a lot of inspiration from that. And then I just realized I'm really kind of averse to doing red, white, and blue too much because these days it's too associated with politics. I love America, don't get me wrong, but it's too associated with politics that I don't like. So I didn't want to make this obviously like Americana-looking sweater because that's just giving the wrong impression right now. I'm just going to be honest. American politics are kind of fraught. But I said, look, the color work is red, white, and blue. And so I went back to my sleeves, which you may remember I'd gotten down to the llamas and a few rows of alternating color stitches below them. And I just said, okay, thin stripes. I learned last year in my Romule sweater with the thin stripes. Thin stripes can look very, very dignified, as opposed to broad stripes look a little clunky, a little retro cool, let's put it that way. So I worked on that. So I finally decided that I want the cuffs, if they're going to be anything, I don't want them to be too far out of the color range of the body. So I went with the red for the cuffs instead of the white or the blue. I'm very, very happy because suddenly I'm finishing this sweater and I really want to be wearing this at CFR, if it's cool enough. This week it finally dropped into the 70s. We'll see what it's doing in 3 weeks, shall we? But anyway, there you can see the Llama Love sleeve, and I'm on the cuff, and I do 4 inches of cuff. This sweater has been just a happy, happy experience, and that's going to lead me on to the Superstition sweater, where that is where I'm going now when I need potato chip knitting, because I'm just working my way down the body. There is no way the Superstition is going to be ready in time, I think. I really would be surprised if I have it in time. But there you are. No, I haven't even touched my embroidery, and I haven't touched any spinning. So let's get on to strategy. Boy, I could use this one this week. This came up over and over in therapy this week. And it's just a simple thing. You've heard me talk about breathing and how to breathe before. Here's one of those ones I should have said years ago. The shoulda, woulda, couldas. Take a breath before you answer someone. Take a breath. Oh, so simple. Oh, so forgotten. When somebody is distressing you, when someone says something challenging to you, when someone says something, they may not know it, but you don't like it, take a breath. In other words, I'm really asking you, when you feel your body tense up, or your chest, or you feel your heartbeat increase, there's much more to this than you think. You're going into fight or flight, okay? Pay attention when you feel that little spurt of anxiety, that little thrill of shock, whatever. When you feel your hands clenching, whatever. Take a breath. Because you go into fight or flight when you're getting ready, obviously, to attack someone or to run away. These are not things we get to do in 21st century culture. So your kid is making you crazy. You realize that you're about to say something. Sure, fine. Take a breath. Your boss comes up and startles you and tells you you've somehow not done what you're supposed to do. Take a breath. Because you can only go into fight or flight when you have an oxygen shortage. Why would you have that? Because when humans are startled, we hold our breaths. Why would we do something like that, Dr. Gemma? Because we're trying to drive ourselves into fight or flight. It's very simple. Kind of nefarious, really, this sort of deadly spiral, you know. But the answer is, we were not built for the 21st century. Our bodies are thousands of years older in design than that. So you are using a primitive set of responses to handle a modern or contemporary problem. And you have to live with that reality. So if somebody does or says something that makes you a negative feeling, angry, scared, frustrated, before you do anything, take a breath. I have always been shocked by the difference this has made in my responses when I remember to do it. You must take a breath because I promise you faithfully, as a psychologist with an indecent amount of experience, 30 years in the profession. Oh my God, it's actually 40 if you count my paraprofessional. Oh Lord, I feel old. Anyway, I promise you, based on that experience, you do not want to be in fight or flight. You don't want to go there. If the situation is getting tense, if you're talking to someone who you love or someone who's important to you, you must learn to take a breath. Okay, on to the fluffy books. I'm still loving the Bridgerton books, which makes me heartbroken to say that I'm on the 4th book of the Smith or Smythe-Smith series. It's very different from the first 3. It's kind of suspenseful in its own strange way. It's The Secrets of Sir Richard Kenworthy, I think it's called. And it's kind of interesting. I'm enjoying it, but I'm deeply unhappy that I'm running out of Bridgertons. Oh, please, please, Netflix, give me another series soon. They're giving us little peeks at it, but they're making me insane. but I am deeply, deeply enjoying the Bridgerton series. It's, for those of us who do not read a lot of romances, it's kind of a starter level of romance novels. I have to tell you, most romance novels bore the heck out of me, and the sex scenes leave me bored. I really like the Bridgertons. There's a sort of sweetness and a little bit of innocence about them, and I really, really enjoy them. Something I really like. I put a link to an article. I forget who wrote the article. It's one of the hip magazine type things online, but it's called How the Jetsons Predicted the Future. And I have a nice clip there from their article of Jane Jetson sitting on her freestanding chair. She's holding her Roomba controls, her electronic vacuum controls. And she's also talking to George Jetson on a video phone. I must admit, I went searching for the image of Jane talking to her doctor in the episode where she ends up at the Dude Ranch with a thinly disguised Wilma Flintstone. And that's another weird tunnel you can go down about the relationship in fan theory between the Flintstones and the Jetsons. But I was reading this article because I was talking to a patient today, and I just love this patient. He's a really nice guy. And apropos of nothing, we were having trouble with connecting, and so we managed to reconnect on a different platform. And we got talking about, isn't it weird that we can do this? That instead of him having to come to my office, he just pulls over because he has a job where he goes from site to site. So he just pulls over and he turns on his phone and we connect, usually through the internet. And anyway, in the middle of it, he was talking about, wow, it's creepy. It's like the Jetsons. And then we stopped and looked at each other because we're about the same age. And he said, did you ever think this would happen? And I said, I'm old enough to remember the original run of the Jetsons. Just barely. I remember my older siblings watching it. I started to see it when it came on Saturday mornings as reruns in about 1964. It actually was 62 to 63. So I would have been 2 to 3 years old. So I don't know. I saw it pretty close to its origin. Let me put it that way. And I was there. My parents used to talk about it. Like, do you think that could ever happen? Do you think that would ever be possible? And this article is worth reading because it was just this amazing blast back. Like, the Jetsons predicted Roombas in the original series. Yes, they had Rosie the robot who helped Jane Jetson clean the place. But they also had small portable vacuums that were run by controls, remote control. The thing they do not get is the cell phone. They do get video phones. In fact, I have a picture of Jane talking to George on a big Zoom screen, it looks like. But they actually do not get the concept that your phone would be in your hand and would have the remotes to everything else. So I run my Roombas from my phone. I run my Alexa from my phone. I run all sorts of things. The lights in the house, the thermostat, all from my phone. I can run them in other ways with voice commands and Alexa itself and all that. But the reality is most of my stuff is now organized through my cell phone. So that's the one thing they don't get. But they do get a lot of things. I did find out one of the scary things about the Jetsons is the reason everybody lives in the sky the way they do is they are living above the pollution layer. And they do hint at it in the original series, that this is how they got above the smog. And the interesting thing, though, is the factories in the Jetsons are also in the sky. They don't seem to be down on the planet. So it's weird. They've got smoke-free factories up there now, too. But that's what everybody's doing up in the sky in the Jetsons. At any rate, I just had this really wonderful moment where I felt like, oh no, my life has now come full circle. That's a little disturbing as a literary trope. It means like, oh no, you're doomed. The end is near. But at any rate, no, the reality is, it is an amazing thing. Where am I now? I am literally 60 years later. It is an amazing thing to see how well a bunch of cartoonists working out of Burbank at Hanna-Barbera predicted all this stuff. So go read the article and say, ooh, wah. Put a lid on it. I haven't been doing any new tea tastings. Oh, I want my autumn teas. I have all this pumpkin spice. I am still working my way through my summer teas because the weather here has been so hot. Yesterday it began to cool down. Cool down means the 70s. I'll take it. But I do have a few new recipes I've been messing around with. This is a keto stir fry. I was thinking of it, and if you're Asian, forgive me, of chop suey. Why, I don't know. There's no noodles in it. There's no bamboo shoots. There's no water chestnuts. There's no bean sprouts. I don't know why. That's what it reminded me of. So rather than call it that and demonstrate that I know nothing about Chinese cuisine and chop suey, for all I know, it's something a Chinese-American restaurant invented. I honestly don't know. But there was a good recipe on keto snacks last week, and I looked at it and said, I'm going to pretty much adopt that, but I'm going to make it my own. So I did. So I changed it slightly. I used ground beef. He used ground pork. He used a lot more meat than I did because I don't think you need to. Okay, so that's the recipe as I did it. Basically, this is great. You dice an onion. I used a good old-fashioned yellow onion. He recommends green onions. I'm sure that would be good too, but he stirs them in early. I think they'd turn to mush. So I think you could use a diced yellow onion, but then chop a green onion onto the top of it to get an even better flavor, at any rate. So I used a pound of ground beef. And then at the local grocery store, I found pre-mixed coleslaw, which they had on sale because it was too close to its expiration date. So I bought those puppies. You know what you do with those, right? You put them in the freezer. That if they're too close to expiration and you think they're going to get slimy, and this works for spinach as well, put it in the freezer. Because most of the ways you're going to use this, unless you want to use it raw, even raw you could let it defrost. They're only leaves. But anyway, unless you want to use it raw, if you're going to use it in cooking, put it in the freezer. It won't get slimy. And you can scoop out with your hand as much as you need and throw it in the pan. It'll defrost almost instantly. So I got a package of that pre-mixed coleslaw. I was very lucky. It was mostly cabbages, which is what I wanted. I, of course, had the diced onion. And then a half cup of soy sauce and a tablespoon, I use slightly more because I love it, of rice vinegar. This is so easy, it's criminal. I used my Instant Pot because I didn't want splatter. But you can use a big skillet for this. You can use butter or olive oil. I think I used olive oil the first time at least. Okay, so I put my Instant Pot on saute. I did not use it as an Instant Pot in the typical sense. And in that, I threw in a lot of butter or oil, frankly, I forget, and I threw in my chopped onion. I sauteed that for like 2 or 3 minutes. I let it get a little bit towards transparent. By the way, the saute on the Instant Pot is set on high. After that, I added my ground meat and I sauteed it for about 10 minutes. So I sauteed it for 5 minutes and I look at it and yeah, it still looks a little raw, so I went on for 10. This might get hotter in a skillet. In an Instant Pot, it doesn't get quite as hot. And then after I'd finished sauteing everything, I added the slaw mix and I just sauteed it and stirred it for about a minute. Like you can make this as tender or as crispy as you want. I wanted a little crisp, so I kept it in there for a minute, stirring it with the beef and the onion. And by now it's in some serious liquid because the onion and the meat are releasing fat and water. And so I stir that around, and then I turn it all off, and I stirred in the soy sauce and the vinegar. Oh, is this good? I was really shocked. My husband liked it. He's usually a harder sell than I am. This is so easy, and this is so good. And you're buying everything pre-packaged and ready to go. I mean, you can add your own coleslaw if you want to. The other options I thought would be good with this. I thought sliced water chestnuts would be great in this. Bean sprouts would be great in this. Bamboo shoots, whatever you like. Those aren't strictly speaking keto, but whatever you like. You could put in some kind of nuts. Sliced almonds might be very nice in this, and that would be keto. Not keto would be peanuts or cashews. This was really good a day later. Like it sat in the fridge and then it just hit celestial heights. Okay, the pup date. Nothing. Queenie Asta still has to go for her shots. I'm hoping Thursday morning. I need to call them tomorrow and see. No new watercolors. Project G, heavens. Believe it or not, it's been a month now, I think, and we are still slogging through it. There's so much stuff. It does look better, but I mean, it is so crowded in that garage. I took 6 boxes out last week of trash. You really can't even see the difference in the garage. That's how big Project G is. But you know what? A month in, I can see the floor. There's a lot of clean, clear spaces. We're getting there. Project T, I'm slogging along, transcribing my journals, and it's gotten to a point where it's fun now. You know, the first journal I'm too kind of emotionally tense about. So I've been using my second journal when I was traveling through the continent, and it was considerably later than my father's death, and things were better. So that's been good, although I'm getting attached to the actual journals themselves and wondering if I will get rid of them. Even so, it's nice to transcribe them. Project Cookbook. Well, you notice I'm giving you a lot of recipes lately. This is why. Project Cookbook, you may remember, I take a recipe every day if I can, and I just write it on a 4x6 index card, and then I put it in my nice wooden recipe box that the nice people at Keto Chow sent me, which is strangely not branded. I'm very grateful for that. It does have a lot of their recipes for Keto Chow usage in it. I haven't really explored those much. I don't want to use my Keto Chow in their recipes, but I'll bet a lot of them would be perfectly good without the Keto Chow, or with Keto Chow, or with a protein powder substitute, at any rate. I'm not there yet. But the really nice thing about Project T is every time I use a new recipe, I make sure I put it on an index card and put it in there. I'm getting quite a good collection in there, and I'm going through my old saved recipes that I have on my Remarkable tablet. And I gotta admit, it's really nice to be in the kitchen, pull one of these guys out, lay it on the counter, and just use it. It's a lot faster and more reliable than having to turn my phone off and on as the screen darks out while I'm working on cooking, and then I have to go back and get it to restart itself. So that's been fun. So I have to admit I'm enjoying those. I am wondering if I should find a way to laminate those cards so that they're not as vulnerable, but we shall see. The Green Fingers report, that's where we've had some excitement. We planted the giant rosemary. I am so proud of my son because I went out and looked at it. That thing was a shrub, and it needed a big, big hole. And my husband ordered my son to do it, and he got him to do a big, big hole. So the beloved son and I planted it this week. I am so happy. It was perfect timing. It was still warm out, so the rosemary didn't go into too much shock, because remember, it's a Mediterranean plant. And the other thing is, it's in a place where it's actually sheltering a row of lavenders behind it who have been struggling. I'm not sure. The lavenders may or may not be making it. They're not growing. They're very dry, but I don't think they're dying. So we're going to see if this crowd makes it. But the rosemary looks very promising, and it's a nice wind block for those lavenders. And it's just so great to look out there and see it. It's so great. I wish I had a whole bunch of them. Next spring, I'm going to definitely look into it. On the calendar, Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers usually meet on the second Saturday of each month. Usually, Yarnopoly will next meet the day after the Cognitive Fiber Retreat on the 12th on a Sunday. Thank you, ladies. The Cognitive Fiber Retreat, of course, that's the next big thing. Can you believe it? Saturday, November 11th, 2023. Can't wait. Just can't wait. The other convenient thing is the next day, there's a new thing going on down at the Pomona Fairgrounds, which is probably about an hour and a half from where CFR will be meeting, but it's still in the LA metro area. And they're doing a fiber get-together too, a giant one, very industrial at the Fairplex. And yeah, it's got a cheaper entry fee than I got, but they're charging their vendors for the privilege. So, you got to get the money from somewhere, but they're charging the vendors. I do believe several of our vendors will be going over to that. I do not expect to go. That, to me, it's after CFR. I just want to, frankly, Sunday go out to breakfast with a few people to work out the bugs from this CFR and what we could do better next time, and to get some feedback. And then that afternoon, I'm probably going to go over and meet with Yarnopoly just to bask in the glow. So we'll see. But anyway, Thanksgiving, of course, I have that weekend off, the 4 days. That's November 23rd through 26th. Any get-togethers there, let me know. And the Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference, now you can tell I'm getting excited. That after CFR, things start coming on really fast, like every 2 weeks. So this is really, really great through the end of the year. So the Evolution of Psychotherapy Conference will be December 12th through the 17th at the Anaheim Convention Center. I think I'm there the 14th through the 17th. Anybody who wants to meet up, do anything, fine. I probably won't have a car. I'm probably just going to take the train down. Meanwhile, Romule, I have that off. It is December 23rd through January 1st this year because of where Christmas falls on the calendar week. So very, very exciting. So we have a lot of good times coming up. Very, very exciting. And I look forward to seeing everybody. Minerva gets the last word. You can see there's Minerva looking at her image on the Fiber Retreat goodie bags. She was fascinated by this. She gave them a good inspection, and you got to wonder at a moment like this, can she even recognize the image? Can she tell it's a cat, let alone it's her? But she was fascinated by them and spent a lot of time staring at them, so who knows? You never know what you might be seeing there. But Minerva has inspected the bags, and they are Minerva approved. So you can see a picture of Her Majesty looking at Her Majesty. After that, you will see all the resources that we are relying on around here. And in the meantime, that brings us to the end of my row, as wiser heads than mine would say. So I am just going to say, remember, we are a community. By the way, no rules yet in this region about masks. So far, so good. If you want to wear masks, you are very welcome to wear masks at CFR. We are a place for warmth and happiness and love and good cheer. Nobody's making fun of everybody else. We're not doing that. We're all going to behave, kids. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's what you do. Please get all your vaccines and stuff, though. I'd really appreciate it. I'd feel a lot safer if you would. Okay, so in the meantime, remember, we're a community. So when we take care of the group, we take care of ourselves. When we take care of ourselves, we're taking care of the group. We want to think like one big happy family, guys. In the meantime, everybody, remember, stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.